Welcome everybody to the MCG on a Sunday afternoon. Hawthorn taking on Collingwood for Triple M. We rock footy. McDonald's, Ream, all the sponsors are on board, and we can't wait to get into this one. And there's a big fight on today. Cambosis up against Haney. So sport everywhere in the great city of Melbourne as I work my way around the box. And my co-caller today is the 280-odd game superstar from the St Kilda Football Club, Lee Montagna.
Hello, Brownie. Nice to be here. As you said, we've got the boxing on the big screen. We've got a beautiful day for footy. And if the Pies win today, they'll be in the 8 as of tonight. So huge opportunity for them after knocking off 2 top 4 teams in recent weeks.
And the former coach of the St Kilda Football Club and the Fremantle Football Club, also a star at the Channel 9 network at the moment, doing a great job. Everybody hangs off every word this man says. His name is Ross Lyon.
Love working with you, Brownie. Love working with you. Thanks for the kind intro. Excited to be here today. Can the Pies back it up? Love their up-tempo style, and I think Hawthorn play up-tempo, so we're in for an exciting game.
And a man who has 1 week on, 1 week off, and turns up whenever he wants is Jay-Z Clark from the Herald Sun.
Yes, Brownie, good to be here. Look, is probably the only internationally registered and licensed boxer in the room. I'm looking forward to the big fight today, and I know you've been promoting it all week with your good work with Sportsbet, of course. So Cambosis and Haney, I believe it's going to be on about 2 o'clock. The old square circle. You're a big fan of the sweet science, Joey, so we'll have eyes glued to that.
What are similarities with you two, with you and these two boxers? Because they're also undefeated. You're undefeated in the ring, aren't you?
Well,
You're one from zip.
One fight, one win. Retired.
Rossi, professional fight.
I've got a big belt. Rossi, don't look at me like that.
Who did you fight and win?
So it was a celebrity boxing tournament in Perth. Let me set the scene.
Wait till you see who we fought.
1,000 people at the convention centre in Perth. So big
love
deal. Guests paid $200 a head to come.
A celebrity. So where
There's a few you'd like to get in with the ring with over there, by the
from Perth,
way.
were they there watching it?
They were all there, and I appeared very tough at the time. So I came in. So it was 2 newspapers in Perth.
You had
Brandon,
headgear on, didn't you?
and bigger gloves.
Oh,
20 ounces?
Yeah, 18 ounces. So it was the 2 papers against each other. So I was working at the Sunday Times in Perth. We were the Sunday newspaper, and I took on Andrew Battleship from the.
Did he play at the Dockers?
Pardon?
Andrew Ship?
No, he was just the sub-editor.
Yeah, right.
So we went 3 rounds, and my name was Sugar J. Clark. Brownie, not Sugar Mate Leonard. Sugar J. Clark, end up victorious.
Well, it takes courage to get into the ring, and I've left you to last for a reason. The greatest player that played our game is Wayne Carey, and many, many people say to me that Duck could have been a fighter. You don't want to go toe-to-toe with a Duck. There's many people who've seen you in the ring at North Melbourne. We haven't heard much about you outside the ring, but apparently you pack a fierce punch.
no, I don't, Brownie, but being very kind to you, Jay, saying you're a celebrity. Even, how many years ago? I mean, I think you are a bit of a celebrity now.
Thanks.
But not all the way.
Well,
back
it talks to how small
Right.
town Perth is.
But no, I tell you what, it's going to very exciting. How good is it that you can be in this and Melbourne, the vibrant Melbourne, back to its sporting best? Today you'll have 50,000 here at the MCG with what, by the way, I think will be a close game. Hawthorn's best is capable of taking it up to Collingwood. They've been inconsistent, but then there'll be 50,000 over at Marvel Stadium, and we'll give you live. We'll go around the grounds to Marvel
Choice Hotels,
and give people updates during the fight. But
We probably apologise in advance, Duck, if the specials just slip away today with the fight up in the corner.
We do have a photo of Jay-Z just prior to his boxing bout, looking a lot fitter than what he is at the moment. So we'll get that up on the social media. This is a Triple M Sunday Rub.
He looks
the
more
McDonald's Ream Hot Water. Now,
looks more like an Olympian style.
he does, doesn't he? I get excited when I come in because, you know, I'm a fashionista. I like to see what people wear. And Joey's come in his general normal outfit. Ross has worn that hat a couple of weeks in a row, and he's wearing what he normally wears. And Jay-Z's wearing what he normally wears. It always fascinates me the way Duck walks in. And last week he had the black shirt on, and that meant business. And the buttons were all the way down, and I could see his belly button. And as soon as he walked in today, I thought he means business.
Telling
He's
a story.
Heading out tonight again. He's a Duck.
I'm not
So
happy.
he's got the tight jeans on. He's got the black shiny shoes. He's got the shirt that is, again, buttoned down to his belly button. Nick
He probably
Russian
should be
style
on Fox now.
of the motel days. And then a nice check jacket. So when you wear the sports jacket, it's on. Where are you heading? Are you?
Have
And
a
you've
look
got
on the-
Duck ingrained in the inside of the
Got your name in your jacket. It actually says Duck.
Yeah, well, it's been tailored for me.
So I'm sorry.
Well, you're no chance to lose it.
Well,
I'm sorry we had to take you away from the boxing today because I believe that's where your mates are and you're heading out afterwards.
Well, I did have ringside tickets, but obviously my work is to be here, and
You'd rather be here?
I'd rather be here. Absolutely, I would. But and the fact that we can have it on and actually see it. But I tell you what I am doing, and you remember the Barry Hall and Sonny Bill fight where I had a sort of a. Well, I was going for Barry.
Footy in each camp.
I had a foot in each camp for the after party.
Yeah.
It's a bit what I've got going on tonight.
So I feel like
Haiti wins,
you were
I'm
in
going. His after party. If Ben Moses wins, I'm going.
I
to
felt like you're in Barry's corner because you did the TV show with him and you jumped out real quick.
No, I didn't. And by the way, I found out about that. He was very crook before that particular fight too. So he hasn't come out.
He
and
was
said
crook,
that.
all
He
right.
hasn't said that. He hasn't said that publicly, but he was. He was crook.
Speaking of celebrity boxing matches, have you spoken about Have you been offered to do one? And you've been offered
did
a lot of money. And
They
you've knocked it
offered me
back.
last year, so the first fight was going to be against. Well, I wasn't sure about it to start with, and they said Kane Corns. I said, "Yep, let's go." I'd like to back myself in. The next option was Dane Swan, so I had conflicting reports. I asked a couple of Collingwood people. A couple said he could fight. A couple said absolutely not. So
Duck shaking his
Duck
head.
thinks not.
I was happy. I mean, they're 20-ounce
Swanee
gloves,
did
but I asked for double, and they come back to me and said, "No, you're not that. You're not
How
that
about
good,
you
son."
and Milne? Milne, there's a bit.
Yeah, Milne's still
Milne?
tap- little tip
And
rap.
then I said, he goes, what do you think? And I said, oh, I don't know, mate. You know, he goes, well, I said, well, you know, whatever it is what it. And then he said, Cam Mooney? I said, I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
It's funny because Glenn Jakovich, they wanted Glenn and I to do it. No, anyway, I said no. I said, look, I'm too old for that sort of stuff. And I think now Jacko is still thinking about it. And I think they're talking Fev and Jacko.
Right.
So about 2 weeks ago, I get a phone call, Jacko. And he just, I thought, what's he ringing me for? And anyway, normally does just to say good day sometimes. And he just goes, hey, do you know much about Fev? Can Fev hold him up? I said, oh, I'm not so sure. I'm not. Do you know whether Fev can or?
I don't know.
But I think that's the matchup. I think
Right.
that they're trying to put together.
Jay,
Fev
is it fair to
and-
say Duck and Brandy's maybe concerned about their looks a little bit? They don't want to cop one in the face.
Well, I'd be worried about what happens if Brownie did get punched, and like what would I don't know, might shoot out of his forehead or something like that.
I'm more
or,
worried
you know,
if I
like-
did win, how the confidence would rise from there. I'd want to take on actual fighters.
Problem with Brownie, if you box Brownie, you'd score points at will because the forehead's
Forehead's
that
a big target.
I just can't miss it. I just say, just bang.
That's some of your best work. Hey, what was interesting during the week, and thank you for the 90% of people that listen to Triple M on a Sunday afternoon, and that only leaves 10% for all the other boxes because we smashed the ratings. And I know that Howie'd be sitting there going, he'd have a small little inkling to go, geez, I hope their ratings go down now that I've picked this year. But they've gone absolutely through the
It'd be
roof.
fair to say we haven't looked back.
We haven't. And Duck, you were quite honest when we had our first meeting. You said, we won't miss Howie at all.
Yeah, it would be flat as a
So
biscuit.
I've just got a message from Fev. He goes, I can go. So
Do you believe him?
oh, that's good. No, well,
do you believe him?
I don't disbelieve him. I tell you what, boxing's not about how you throw them; it's how you take them.
Right.
Simple.
Oh,
as
you're going to
that.
go Rocky Balboa.
It's not how you throw them; it's how you cop them.
See the posture change in the box. The sweat, the chair swung around, the chest come out, the nostrils
There's
flared.
always
Yeah.
been the rumour that a couple of military guys over in the States tried to take you on once, and you just said, go off, boys.
Oh, don't. You know what? Never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
Right, tell a story.
Yeah, I'll go with that. No, that's not true.
Who was the best with the gloves
not
at the
true.
Saints, Joey?
Xavier
G
Clark.
train?
Xavier. Oh yeah, Fraser. Oh yeah, Fraser Gehry could really go.
What about Rui? How could Rui
No,
throw?
no, really couldn't. No way.
He was in the ice bath.
Yeah, no, really. We had a day. We used to do a lot of sparring early days when you're allowed. Before it's now barred, isn't it?
You're not allowed
You're not
to
allowed
do
to
that
spar anymore at AFL clubs. and-
Someone got hurt.
No,
Right.
you are allowed to.
I don't think you're allowed to spar
No,
anymore.
I think
How do they police that?
I think the
It was after the
AFLPA
Hawthorn blow up.
Yes,
Yeah,
they put a stop to it.
I'll tell you, Michael Walters' son, can he
Yeah.
box?
Yeah.
Ooh.
but we got back to a sparring session. Stevie Lawrence and Fraser Gehrig had a sparring session one day, and was it Fraser?
Yeah, but
Gehrig?
that was at the Brighton Hotel.
No, that was in the old gym, and Fraser Gehrig landed one on Stevie Lawrence and knocked him
Oh,
out.
come on.
In a
Stevie Lawrence is half his size.
Yeah,
What are you talking
Well,
about?
there wasn't many people at the club that were Fraser.
He liked to take on the world, though, Steve.
No,
Yeah,
I
he
was
did.
going to say
I
that.
tell you, pre-game, like Aaron Sandilands used to do a lot. If you think how big he is, he could be the heavyweight get-in post-career. Yeah, I thought, oh, you wouldn't want to get hit by
So
him.
at the Bulldogs, you had to match up against someone about your size, and this is when boxing got cancelled or at the Western Bulldogs. So Chris Grant, the great Chris Grant, nobody wanted to go against Chris Grant, but the only person left was Peter Street. It was quite gangly, Peter Street, and didn't really know how to throw them. So they got in the ring, and Peter Street jumped up, and it was like a tomahawk punch at the top of Grant's head. Knocked him out. Knocked Granny out. So the whole session was then cancelled.
Yeah.
We can't have the big, great kahuna being knocked out. But, that was the end of boxing at the Bulldogs.
Well, you would have done the camps at the army bases and all that sort of stuff. When Dennis Pagan first took over, we did a drill where you all had to put one glove on.
Yeah.
And then you turn around, and it was like 10 on 10. And you just the idea was you weren't allowed to hit above the shoulder.
Yeah.
You just basically belt one another. And it just went.
That was the
10 or 15 minutes.
That was the Shep backish.
Yes, Shep.
Yeah.
Shep.
Everyone one glove on.
Yes.
10 per team in, last man standing, gloves below the
These
shoulder.
things have changed, haven't they?
You love the 80s.
And as you can imagine, when you get a couple of guys come in, I remember I was 17 or 18, 17. And a couple of the senior players come in and start. So all of a sudden, you don't worry about hitting to the body.
No,
you don't worry about whether you've got a glove on the other hand either.
How different was it?
Yourself.
We used to play practice matches when I first got to the Western Bulldogs. It was probables up against possibles, and Plough used to work the possibles into a frenzy, saying, these blokes in there, they've got your spot. If you want a spot come round one, you've got to take it. So, and he would always put one of either Liberatore or Ramiro in the opposite side and then really get them fired up. And this one day, Scotty West, and remember Tyson Lane?
Yep.
Tyson Lane, talented player that played for the Western Bulldogs, he was up against Scotty West, and Plough had worked him up so much that in the practice game, Scotty West pushed him, so Tyson Lane just dropped him like the Lance Franklin one last week. And this was in an intra-club practice match. There was a big all-in brawl, but it was just a different time.
I saw that.
We do have to say we don't condone.
Absolutely not. It's a different time.
We used to play corridor football in David Park and used to put him in like teams of 10s. And you had Rossi Thorney's team with a sawn off. Then you had Michael Conlon was Skeeters. And, you know, it's quite competitive coming off. And Murray Brown, I think it's Jeff Brown from Collingwood who played Collingwood Fitzroy. Mickey Conlon used to get really fired up. I might have been about 18 at the time. I was up at Bundoora and mouthing off on the sideline. Mick used to get really fired up, and Murray was mouthing off, and he got close to Mick, and Mick just gone whack and dropped him. I think he might have broken his jaw. I thought, geez, this is serious.
Yeah, no, it's changed, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
And for the better.
We're just reminiscing.
We're just reminiscing.
30.
We're much more advanced
If you're
than
listening,
that now.
Mick. And
This is the Triple M Sunday Rub for McDonald's Remont Water. We've got plenty more to come. Justin Lepich, Collingwood Head of Strategy, Hitch Your Caravan, and up next, Jay-Z's Big Three. Triple M rocks footy. Hawthorn taking on Collingwood for the MCG Sunday afternoon footy. This is going to be a ripper. Justin Lepich not far away. Hitch Your Caravan. All the greats are here. Wayne Carey, Ross Lyon, Lee Montagna. Rui's even in the box today. He hasn't got his headset on. He's here working for Fox. But Jay-Z's Big Three.
This is Jay-Z's Big Three.
Yes, Brownie. I think a fortnight ago we all thought Melbourne had the flag in the bag. Really, it was just who they were going to play in the grand final and how much they were going to win by. But over the past fortnight with losses to Fremantle and last night a high-pressure Sydney team, it has just changed the complexion this whole premiership season. And in particular, there are some issues up forward. Sam Wiedemann's not getting a game. Ben Brown's out of the team. They looked at Mitch Brown last night. They're unable to get a score on the board. Let's have a listen to Simon Goodwin's take on the loss last night to the Swans and get your thoughts on what cracks have appeared.
Yeah, we're not executing as well as we'd like ahead of the ball. Some of the delivery certainly isn't the best at times either, so we've got to work on some connection forward to centre. We generated enough turnovers in the game tonight to hit the scoreboard better than what we did. There's no doubt about that. So we'll look at the mix of personnel, but also look at our method within that. As I said, we generated enough turnovers, but I think it was 8 goals to zip in turnovers. So we need to find a way to execute better going inside 50.
So what's the problem, Ross Lyon? They can't hit the scoreboard. They can't convert on the turnover. Is what Simon Goodwin just said. Then how big a headache is this? Is just Steve May out of the team? Or is this a real problem?
I don't think it's huge. I think it highlights the importance that's obvious for all of us as Stephen May. And they play a big man game. They control the ball. They work down the line. I think Wayne can come in here. They normally win the down the line contests or break, whereas Sydney won a lot of them and were then able to counter-punch them. I think the way they enter is a conservative way. They go in long the contest a lot, rely on not being outmarked. But when there's no McDonald, and Brown's a little bit off it. That's affecting them. I just think the linchpin down there is, mate, they wouldn't want to lose Gawn.
He was huge last.
What hit me was Sydney's speed against them last night. Sydney are suited to a bigger ground. Make it big, and their speed, their ability to bring it in. And we all talk about system, and I know it's next man in, but the next guys just don't play it as well. There's no doubt about that. But, Salem will take a month to get back to his best. Ed Langdon, he'll take a look. But they're putting more time into Oliver. So you break down the key cogs. There's always the big cogs. And if they start to break down, your team just comes off a little bit.
Sydney halved the big contest last night, didn't they? Contest normally that Melbourne win. And the other thing that I noticed about Sydney is they kept their length. So whenever they won the footy, they just didn't kick it back to Melbourne. They always had someone there to compete, and then they generally got a ball up. So there was never an intercept mark where then Melbourne could get their game going and do what they generally want to do.
And Melbourne give you the outside initially. Like, they'll protect the... Well, Sydney took it and then with speed got it into motion and were able to come back in board. That's what I noticed in a short
Did you notice last night, Joey, that when Melbourne, particularly at the start of the game when they got off to a good start, they had guys they could have gone to outside the corridor, but they said, nah, they just want to get it in there quick. They get a contest, and obviously it worked. But then as the game progressed and Sydney got back into the game, they were using that guy then that was loose on the outside. But
Melbourne?
Melbourne were.
Yeah.
But Sydney's pressure, I mean, they tackled unbelievably well. I can remember, I reckon there was one tackle at half-back where Cozzy Pickett broke a couple of tackles. But what about McCartin down here on Pickett? I thought Pickett's going to get the ball and just break. McCartin gained ground on him.
Didn't he?
And then halve that contest. So all of these situations where generally Melbourne win, Sydney were able to halve, which is huge.
We've seen a few times this year when you take space off Melbourne, when they allow you that little half a second. The one that Warner kicked to Papley last night. Warner was at centre-half back, and all of a sudden he's got the ball. A lot of sides go sideways or backwards because of the pressure. He saw the gap, he took it, he ran 10, and then he went long to a one-on-one. Hawthorn did that early on in the season, couldn't compete for the whole game, but Fremantle did it last week as well. Took space and then went long to a one-on-one. Obviously, Stephen May being out helped because he probably would have mopped that up and Papley wouldn't have kicked that goal. But taking space against Melbourne has been a key the last 2 weeks.
There's no doubt you have to go at Melbourne defensively. You can't go slow and around them. If you go at them, you're a chance. But back to your point, they do have issues in front of the ball. It's becoming a bit of a concern. Ben Brown, he hasn't touched it for 3 weeks. Luke Jackson, we know, doesn't take marks in the forward half. Fritsch is a different type of player.
He did. He kicked one in the first quarter.
He did, but he's taken 4 marks inside 50 in about 6 weeks. He doesn't really do it. Fritsch, which is a different type of player, and you're right, if it's not for Gawn. Tom McDonald was the one in the last 4 weeks before he got injured that was taking a lot of marks inside 50. So what is the latest with his injury? Because I think now he's looking important for them get forward of the ball.
Were we having this same conversation last year about Melbourne's forwards? Who's going to be the best spot in that team? And are they going to be able to kick a big enough score to win the premiership?
There was an issue through the middle part of the year, and it was Ben Brown that came into the side, changed that look. Ben Brown's been playing. I think part two, we spoke about Melbourne. They're not this free-flowing, fast team that sort of is a bit of perception. They play control. They build the ball up, and I think it's affecting them in their forward 50 now because they are going slow, kicking the ball in long and high a lot, and are struggling for good looks. So they've just got to tinker with their method and have a look at their personnel in forward.
But teams are scoring against them over the last few weeks. When they're getting the opportunity, they're scoring. Which May used to... I remember Stephen Silvani at Calm. When he disappeared, they got opened up like a can of worms. A dominant key back can just control that
cleans
whole
up
back
a lot of mess.
And on the flip side, and look, we all know that your Buddy, great form the week before. He actually won the game for them and kicked 3 goals in the last quarter. They've won 6 of their last 7 without Buddy.
Well, McDonald grows. McDonald flourishes.
And they used the right option. Their ability to find targets and use the right option their decision making was
better. Like if you're a young fella, you're coming out in the middle. Buddy's such a legend and a presence. You're going to kick it to him. It takes a strong mind not to.
Jay-Z, a couple of more news items.
Yes, hey, we're talking about Sam Doherty as one of the best stories of the year. It's been inspirational. He's come back from cancer, obviously, second cancer, now in All-Australian contention. But I tell you what, Paddy McCartin is not far behind it. When he had his concussion issues, former teammate of yours, Joey, of course, I must admit, I thought, as a father, I'm not sure I'd want him out there if he was my son. I think just do something else, mate, to be honest. We had an interview with him in this Triple M box. It was at Marvel Stadium in 2019. Have a listen to the absolute raw emotion in his struggle at that point, and then we can talk about his performances now.
How are you going? How are you going? The fact that all you want to do is get out there and play footy, and obviously due to the concussion situation, you can't. So firstly, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not great, to be honest. It's been tough. It's been a tough few months. I haven't really done a whole heap. I haven't been doing a lot of anything, really, and that's probably been the hardest part. I've sort of lost my footy identity a little bit, but then also my identity as a person as well, just because I can't do stuff. I can't, go to the supermarket when it's busy, or go to a cafe with my girlfriend, or drive my car, or just stuff like that. So it's been hard, but the hard thing is that there's no real time frames on it. So hopefully I'm better next week, but I could be better in a year or 6 months. I don't know. So it's been tough.
Hearing him say that, Joe, he thought he'd never play footy again. He looks like not only a good defender, a star intercept defender for Sydney. Are you surprised?
I'm surprised at how well he's playing, absolutely. Yeah, we know he has talent. I thought that as an intercept defender, that would be his go if he did get another crack at it. But he's exceeded my expectations. I mean, what him and his brother do to hold up that Sydney backline is phenomenal. They're both undersized. They're both under 195 centimetres. But they do a terrific job. It's great to see him out there. I mean, he just loved footy, wanted to play. I still must admit, I still do have sort of my heart in my mouth when I watch him play. I do think about, he's already had one concussion sub, which we believe it wasn't too serious. But I still worry about him getting another concussion because of what he just spoke about then and what we've heard from him. But from a football point of view, you couldn't be more pleased with how he's going.
And he looks fit. He's type 1 diabetic.
Yep.
Yeah, so, that's a significant challenge within itself. And then the concussion. So the courage to get back into the arena, do the work, no guarantee. He looks fit.
Yep.
And I've got no doubt the number one pick burden on him at St Kilda weighed heavily as well. I think when you put it all into mix, the diabetes, that expectation, and then the concussion, and a team that was struggling, I just think mentally it was a burden that you wouldn't want your young fella to.
You've always got to try forwards in defence before you discard them, but you've got probably 17 other clubs right now going, how did we not see this? How did Sydney get, and obviously a lot plays out because his brother's there, it was easy to go, but obviously the Bulldogs, you see them play the other night and they get destroyed because Alex Keith is really the only number one pillar they got. They're probably sitting there going, how do we miss McCartin? How do we not have him in our team?
But it was great recruiting by the Sydney recruiting team because he only played about 3 or 4 VFL games for the Swans because of the COVID situation, so he didn't even really get a big body of work to see how good he would be, so it was a risk of a pick, even though it was a free hit. It cost them nothing.
What was his tie to St Kilda? How did he leave St Kilda? Just delisted free agent?
Yes. In the end, the concussions were just too much. They didn't think he would play. Yeah.
There's other great stories of players who seem to be a risk and then they get a chance. So obviously
Tyson Stengel.
Tyson Stengel's one of them at the moment. Marlon Pickett at the Richmond Football Club, they took a chance on him. So you hear the stories of clubs not taking a chance and then regretting it. I believe we should be giving more opportunities to see how these players
go. Strong clubs take bigger risks. Yeah. Not strong, perceived strong clubs. A record of success and stability and good decisions. But they'll have decisions that go wrong, but in the main, they make more correct ones. So Geelong's one of them. Richmond have become one of them.
Collingwood, Andy Cracker.
Collingwood, Andy Cracker.
Hawthorn were there.
But if you're Australia, if it went to North Melbourne, didn't work out, well, it just compounds there.
I'll tell you what, I'd tell you what you do feel with both of them in defence. If they're under a high ball, I'll tell you what, they're going to go.
Yeah.
I just love the way they both go about it. They're a great combination now.
Yep.
And the side effect, what's coming from it, is Rampy is
100% taking the pressure off him.
It's taking the pressure off him. He's not having to play on these monsters
he was out
anymore.
Outsized, wasn't
Absolutely, and Haney won the second round, by the way.
Won the first one as well.
The other big story, boys, and it's going to be one that we're going to dissect all week. I'm sure you'll be talking about it on Wednesday night, Footy Classified, is the Western Bulldogs. They've gone from a grand final team to now absolutely in danger of missing the 8 altogether. Now there's suggestions that Luke Beveridge has had a poor coaching year and they are unable to connect in the forward half. It really is Aaron Norton or bust. I want to get your thoughts on what's happened at the Kennel and whether they can resurrect their season after Luke Beveridge, who admits they are having massive problems in the forward half.
We're not over the moon with our output as far as the scoreboard side of it goes because we had enough entries. Look, I think that the face of our forward line will continue to change, the complexion of it, depending on form and guys coming back from injury. I couldn't tell you, exactly what it's going to look like in 2 weeks' time when we come back from the bye.
Boys, can a grand final loss break your spirit? Rossi, tell me if that's a...
Not for them. Not for them.
Is it a
They're
silly
young.
suggestion?
They're young.
So what's gone
that's
wrong?
not my take. Well, I just wrote down, like, they had the instability wrapped around Hunter. All the little issues add up. So I thought Hunter, and then you had that the journalist issue. Just little distractions, and then you get a quarter. In AFL football, you don't have to do much wrong to lose games, right? And so you should beat an Adelaide in Ballarat. There's just those wins. All of a sudden, you're under more pressure. They stuff up the first quarter. Other than that, they come from 40 points down, and they're winning entries and all that. And then you get the injuries. Like English goes out, and there's a little bit of COVID or whatever it is. They have had a few out. Brownie knows them more intimately. At 6-6, it's precarious, but it's happening too often for me. I don't think they're going to have any impact this year. I don't think they can get it going. And even Liberatore not being on the inside early, struggling to get that mix. They lost some good assistants. And when you got good assistants like Stephen King.
Ash Hansen.
Yep.
They really help Bevo. And then you get it takes you a year to know your player group inside out. When I went to St Kilda, it took me a year to know him inside out as a senior coach. It takes you a year to know him intimately, and the same would apply for assistants, and I think it affects your decision. Then you got Ugle Hagen that hasn't come on as a number one pick. All those things, and then they lack key defenders, and guess what? Got him again last night, a key forward.
I think more than any club at the moment, they rely on their midfield, because if they don't win the midfield, they're exposed in the back end. And Alex Keith is a really good player, but it's just set up for Jeremy Cameron, because Keith was obviously going to go to Tom Hawkins at times, and Gardner isn't up to it to play on those bigger guys. He should be a fourth man in, and I don't think, although Brian's been in the system for a long time, so I don't think he's the answer as well. So if they lose that...
Keith's not big enough to play on
But they've been under...
Bevo
doesn't like their system, and I think the system change... The rule change in the AFL affected the Dogs as much as anyone because they're undersized in defence. And I think the stand rule and the ball getting there quicker has affected their north-south defence and the support, and it's getting there quicker. And the key forwards, we know in the game generally, are kicking bags, and it's put their deficiency under a greater spotlight than it would have been otherwise, which is what happened in the grand final as well.
And at the moment, if it's Norton or bust, so 12 times they went to him inside forward 50. They went to Riley West the second most times, which is 6. Now, I thought Riley West was good the other night, but you don't want to be kicking the ball to him 6 times and Norton 12 for the night. Waitman was 5, so I'm not sure what Karmas came in at, but they've got real problems at either end. I think their midfield's still a damn good midfield, but their problems are at either end.
Well, they dominated. The number of games they've dominated the entries and lost.
And Waitman's got to get back to the basics, stop playing for free kicks.
But Waitman's a marking player in a crumbing body.
He is.
Yeah,
he's a very good
plays
marking
above
player
us.
if he doesn't play for free kicks, as we know. Okay, we're going to head to a break.
Just got another text from Fev.
What do you got?
I got that
Another
last message wrong. He said, I can't go.
He left out the T.
Not I can go. Sorry, Fev.
What is hopefully okay after this segment is your
Yes.
new segment that you bring to the table every week.
On Triple M's Sunday Rub.
For a caravan.
What?
There's lots of room for you on the bandwagon.
We're hitching the caravan.
Yes, it is the most popular segment, let's be honest. And just on the home front, little quick one. Firstly, I will be hitching my caravan to Peaky Blinders because the new series comes out on Thursday. If you haven't caught any of that on Netflix, make sure you do. It's an outstanding series, and I'm looking forward to catching up on that. Hey, yeah, in terms of the draft, Brownie, when we talk about the super draft, I think largely we see the 2001 as being the draft. Of course, Hodge, Ball, Judd. And then 2018 came along. And then that sort of took the title as the next super draft. Of course, in that is Walsh, Lukosius, then the King boys, Bailey Smith, Taron Thomas, Butters, Caldwell, etc.
That's the 18 draft.
That's the 18 draft. And we thought, right, that could be the best draft since 2001. But can I just draw your attention to 2019? Because it starts with Rowland Anderson and Luke Jackson, who's the greatest ruckman who have ever played the game, according to Joey. And then we go to the other, Hayden Young and Caleb Sarong at Fremantle. Tom Green at number 10 could be the best player in the competition. Kasai Pickett at number 12. Will Day at 13, who could be Hawthorn's best player. Mitch Georgiades and Sam De Koning, who is coming for the rising star with an absolute bullet. Duck, you've been all over this man. And I just wonder the 2019 draft could be on the podium with 18 and 2001 as the 3 greatest drafts of all time.
It's looking pretty good, isn't it?
I like it, Jay.
Yeah, I like
in
that.
time.
You know what?
Please. They've
You've
got
done
a bit of work to do. Those blokes, go through them.
You've done a bit of homework, though.
Couple
That's
put
good.
together a
But
season.
now go back and let me know what you came in here with ideas about, that you were going to come up with 2019 being better than 2018. Why didn't you go with that?
I had to continue my analysis, and I like to pick your brains on the big topics, and you just sort of said, hold your horses on that, Clark. 2018 is still the best. But with Pickett and Jackson, obviously, Will Day, and now Sam De Koning at pick number 19. Should he be the favourite for the Rising Star, just quickly?
No, I don't. I think the young fella out here, Newcomb's still just the clubhouse leader for me. Yep. But De Koning has a big second half. He can certainly come home with a wet sail.
Oh, you keep knocking off key forwards like you did.
Yeah, correct.
And Norton, there's no bigger boom on a player than Norton.
Yeah,
and
great
just
support,
knocked him over.
but every time they went one-on-one, he squared it or brought it to the ground.
And what you said this morning, the kid in your triangle, Brownie,
You like that?
was outstanding. Can you just explain what you saw there?
Well, we all heard of the Bermuda Triangle, but every time the ball went inside forward 50 for the Bulldogs the other night, there was 3 players. So it was obviously De Koning on him, but then there was a player either on the side or at the back. So it was like a triangle. So Tui was one of them, Stewart early, but they always had 3 players. It was just
Did the Dogs go in long a lot?
Went in long.
Well, that plays in their hands. Like going in, if you don't hit up Stewart's man, if you don't hit up those little half forwards, well, they're going to be there all day.
I think the Cats' boxing phrase with the rope-a-dope, they just absorbed the punches for 2 quarters. The ball kept coming in their defensive 50. Geelong just kept standing tall, didn't allow Bulldogs to score. I think they had 9 shots from 33 entries, and that's why Geelong is so good. They absorbed the punches. They
9 from 33?
9 shots from 33 entries. Geelong's second and third quarters, they held defensively really strong, and then they were able to absorb the best the Bulldogs had to offer, and then were able to kick away in that fourth quarter.
Third quarter was 17 entries to 4, and it was 2 goals to 0.
Hang on, is this a review of the game or
Sorry, I've hitched onto the draft. We got tangent.
Well, I'm hitching.
We got to the draft.
All right, Duck.
So what have you hitched your wagon to? 19.
I think the 19 draft is going to be
better than 2001?
I think 2001, 2018, 2019 are the 3.
I'm going to hitch my caravan to, because of the midweek rub, Joey, I said for the Adelaide Crows and for anyone else out there looking at Tex Walker, just wait until the second half of the year. I've now changed my mind.
You happy with his game?
I'm hitching my caravan to Tex Walker and saying to the Adelaide Crows, off the back of that game, his body looks sound. His game is as good as it's ever been. The form he's in this year is as good as he's ever played in his whole career. So I think I'm hitching my caravan to him, and I think Adelaide should offer him 2 years and say, be done with it.
Why do you need to give him 2? He's not going anywhere.
I know, but I just because.
JC, we had Matthew Nicks on Dead Set Legends in Saturday morning.
Yes.
Matthew Nicks almost said he hadn't had the chat to Tex Walker, but he said, look, Tex wants to stay. We probably want to keep him. He sort of almost made us feel that it was inevitable that he'll get another year at Adelaide.
He's going nowhere, Rick.
He's going nowhere.
I've got a short-term hitch. I'm on Ginnivan today.
Oh, yeah.
For 4. These are his conditions. He missed some sitters last week.
He walked out with the butcher's hook on his foot last week. He just couldn't get it.
he slaughtered it, but I think he'll deliver today, the young man.
Hey, Duck, we're halfway through the fight. Cambosis, Haney, 6 rounds down. How are you seeing it? How are you scoring it?
Well, I because I was hitching my caravan, I've missed a little bit of it, but I reckon Cambosis has come back.
Come with the overhand right.
All right, so I'm going to hitch my caravan, and it might be next year, it might be the year after, but there's going to be a pay dispute coming up with, I think, the AFL players at some point. They're going to want more, and the AFL are going to not allow a lot, and we're going to have this conversation. But I feel I'm going to hitch my caravan to players' names being on the back of their jumper. So you'll see the 23 of Sydney, and then Franklin above that, and the players getting a bigger slice of the action around their name being on the jump. It's in every other sport, and we know everyone says, why do we have to go American? Why do we have to follow them? It is in every other sport in the world. It's even in cricket. It's in basketball. It is in every sport, and for some reason, we still don't do it, and I feel like that's a way for the players to get an extra earn by using their name, and it's great for the kids. Great for the kids to go out training during the midweek and go, how good's this? I've got Cripps on my back with number 9.
It seemed a logical step, Brownie, wouldn't it?
And the players get money out of it too because it's use of their name.
I'm hitching my caravan. Might be a little bit controversial, but I think Melbourne for the next month should try playing Max Gawn more as a permanent forward. Allow Luke Jackson to continue to develop as a ruck and to let him do his best work where he's suited through the midfield. And I think Max Gawn might be able to fix a few of Melbourne's problems because he's unstoppable trying to mark a ball inside forward 50 at the moment with not many of those big defenders able to stop him. So maybe just for a little bit, I just want to try Max Gawn more as a permanent forward. Jackson, the number 1 ruck.
Brownie, should I hitch my caravan to Channel 9 getting Thursday night footy in the next broadcast deal?
Well, I'd like them to hitch that caravan as well, very much so. And imagine that on a Thursday night, because Ross is part of the stable now. It'd be...
Well, we got you, we got Lloydie, we got Eddie, we got the heavy hit, we got Caro.
It would be good for the game, wouldn't it? I think you guys could bring
I'm
some
not
razzle
biased,
dazzle.
but I thought Channel 9, when I was a player, I thought their coverage of the game was outstanding. Not saying that other networks aren't. I think they do a great job, but I just remember Channel 9 being a really good outfit.
You balanced that up beautifully. But 7, they used to be synonymous with some footy shows where at the minute it's
They don't have
9,
any.
isn't it? 9.
Yep.
I'm talking free to wear because
Yep.
obviously the pay to view guys.
Classified. It's a juggernaut.
It's a good version of Hitch Your Caravan. Well done, Jay-Z. Not far away. We're about 20-odd minutes away from the Hawks and the Pies playing. You're off, Jay-Z. You're done for the day?
Yes, mate. Thank you, Brownie.
What are you doing for the rest of the day?
I'm going to cover this game for the Herald Sun.
Did you write that West Coast article like you promised last week?
Absolutely not. He did not. This is the Triple M Sunday Rub for McDonald's Room Hot Water. Triple M rocks footy.